The Fitterist Show with your host, Christopher Allen, where we explore the art of mind and body conditioning. As gyms and other businesses continue to close in an effort to reduce the spread of coronavirus, with many of us staying inside our homes, and people are wondering if and how we can remain somewhat physically active in close quarters at home. Maybe you just started working from home and don't want to venture back out after your day is over, or maybe you want to save yourself some time between all of life's other obligations. But for most of us, we have time at home. Whatever your reason, with a few tips, you can make the most of your at-home workout and build habits you can follow for the long term. In part 1 of this 2-part series, we'll be covering upper body and cardio in part 1, to be followed with lower body and abs in part 2. So let's dive in. Again, just a programming note, but given the breadth here and the variety of exercises, I'm going to cover upper body, so that includes chest, shoulders, triceps, biceps, and back. All of those exercises and cardio elements in this episode. And then in next week's episode, I'm going to cover the lower body, which includes quads, hamstrings, and calves, and also abs in part 2. And before we dive into the exercises themselves, I want to cover a few foundational items in advance, just to help maximize some of your home workout results. So first, let's take a high-level scan of just the environment. So in general, most gyms across the country are closed due to the coronavirus, so you're kind of forced to work out at home. Now, you may or may not have any equipment, things like treadmill, exercise machine, dumbbells, exercise bands, etc. But we'll walk through a little bit of that. And I think it's beneficial to at least have some investment in the basics to facilitate a better workout. Another thing to consider is dedicated space to work out. Now, if you're fortunate enough to have an empty room in your house where you can put some equipment, that's great. But many people aren't that lucky. You don't necessarily just have a spare room lying around where you can say, oh, I'll fill that up with fitness stuff. That'll be my new fitness room. But if you've got a small apartment, your dedicated workout space can just simply be a mat on the ground or some floor space that you can clear out, that maybe you move your coffee table out. And again, your exercise space doesn't need to be super fancy. It doesn't need to be huge, but it helps to have a specific spot you keep going back to. This really helps train your body and signals your brain that it's time to work out. When you move that coffee table, when you put down that yoga mat, time to get to work. Similarly, try to set a consistent time. Just as if you were going to the gym at a regular time, carve out that same regular time and use that time to consistently work out at home. This will give you both a mental break from what you were doing and also offer some physical activity to get you going. So both gives you both a physical and mental break from the day, where you can look forward to it and know that you're going to have that consistent time each day to work out. I thought I'd spend a minute just talking about resistance bands. I think these are probably the best and least expensive training tool you can invest in. I mean, they're literally, you can get packs of bands on Amazon for $5, $10. And whether you're a beginner or you're already at an advanced fitness level, resistance band exercises can absolutely give your muscle a great challenge. You can use resistance bands for exercises that target pretty much every body part without putting extra pressure on the joints. And while the usual strength exercises focus on bigger muscle groups, resistance band exercises can be great for targeting those smaller supporting muscles that function as stabilizers, as well as hitting the big muscles too. So there's a couple different types of resistance bands, just to go into a little more detail. They come in different sizes, shapes, colors, and level of resistance that they provide. So there's generally 2 different kinds of resistance bands. There are looped bands, which can be shorter and thinner. Sometimes they're called mini bands or TheraBands, or they can also be longer and thicker, but obviously they're a continuous loop. So I personally have 2 long bands, one of which has a door anchor, so I can use it and close the door to provide more of an anchor point for that band. And then I have about 6 or so shorter bands of different thickness and resistance strength. The second type of resistance band is a non-looped band. So these are just available just as a regular band, or some of them also you can get with handles. I have one set of non-looped bands with 3 different levels of resistance: easy, medium, hard. They're not super complex or super calibrated. It's just more resistance or less resistance. And I also have one non-looped band that has handles on the end. It allows you to do wrist supination exercises and things like that. The different colors and resistance levels, unfortunately, the manufacturers do not follow a consistent protocol. So resistance bands, while they come in many different colors, not every band of the same color will offer the same resistance. Sometimes red is the least resistance. Sometimes black is the most resistance. Sometimes another manufacturer, green and blue, are the most resistance, offers the most resistance. So it depends on the manufacturers. But generally, they don't try and over-calibrate it. They basically just have smaller, thinner bands that offer various resistance ranges, and longer, thicker ones that also offer different resistance levels. So I would highly recommend the use of resistance bands. There's so much you can do with them. They're so flexible, and you can do a lot of the core primary exercises and then add a band to it to offer greater resistance for your training. One other item that I'd like to cover is the mindset, particularly if you're used to working out at a gym or a club, because it's just a little different. When you're training at home, you don't have 45-pound plates, you don't have squat racks, you don't have a lot of those things in general. So, as a result, you want to concentrate on focusing on higher reps, higher volume, really concentrate on the mind-muscle connection, and particularly the time under tension. So the time you put that muscle under tension is far more important than the amount of weight that you can do, particularly in a home workout. So you really want to feel the burn. You want to train to failure. Really, again, feel that mind-muscle connection. Really look for a blood flow. So you really want to get that blood flowing through your muscles. And feel free, as I go through some of these exercises, you can superset a lot of these different exercises. Since you'll be using lighter weights, you can go from exercise 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, go back, then do a rest, maybe do some calves in between, then go back to exercise 1, and then 2, then 3, and then 4. So you can do some circuit training with a home workout very, very easily. Another thing you can also do to emphasize the muscular contraction is iso holds. This is just where when you extend out, as an example, and hold your tricep out, you hold it for 3, 4, 5, sometimes 10 seconds. Some of the leg movements you can hold for longer periods of time. So think about how you can add additional stress, because again, the weight's not going to be the issue. It's not a lot of weight. So think of things where you can do like pause reps, where you take and count from 1, 2, 3, or 4 on the negative portion of the lift on each rep. Some other tips, just again, get in that mindset and get that brain switch flipped like you're going to work out. Dress like you're going to the gym. You'll feel more like exercising when you're wearing your athletic clothes, just like you're going to the gym, and not wearing the clothes that you're lounging around the house in. There's definitely a shift in mindset once you change into your workout attire. So take advantage of that. Another thing, create a schedule, stick to it. Pretend you're going to the gym, block off the time. Don't let excuses get in the way. You've got plenty of time. Just think of the commute that you're avoiding by staying at home. Take that half hour each way and you got an easy hour workout. Another thing to think about is to avoid distractions. Try to work out when no one's at home or you have little else to do around the house. You really don't want to try to be competing with your family members as they get in on their everyday routines. Leverage music. Jam to some of your favorite music to help keep you focused on the workout. Block out some of the exterior distractions, and that can help you stay focused during the workout. 2 more things to consider before we jump into the exercises. One is your diet. Remember that diet is probably even more critical when you're working out from home. It plays a huge role in getting in shape, and remember, you need to fuel your body with the right foods. And you really want to make sure you have a pre-workout meal or snack like 45 minutes or so before you exercise to make sure you have the stamina and energy your body needs. You might not be on the same regular eating schedule because work and you're at home, but try to stick to a regular schedule as best you can. And remember, for healthy snacks, you can stick to food groups that contain carbohydrates and proteins. Make sure you just have enough fuel and energy to drive your workouts. And the second thing is around stretching. Some would say that stretching before your workout is a great way to loosen the muscles in your body so you can help prevent injuries. But the bottom line is you want to understand your body. If you feel that you're flexible and capable enough of performing the exercise without complications and maybe you don't need to stretch, I've found as I get older, I need to stretch. That's just the bottom line. As you get older, and I wasn't super flexible throughout my life, so stretching just adds. I do that at the very beginning of my workout. I stretch while I do abs, and then I get into the workout. So it's worth probably stretching before diving in to some of the resistance exercises. And now on to the actual resistance exercises. We're going to start with chest. Remember, I'm going to give a broad cross-section that includes resistance bands, no resistance bands, and just a couple exercises for each body part just to give you some ideas. So for chest, the first one is the banded chest press. So this is using a resistance band with handles, and you want to anchor it and loop it around something secure behind you. I use actually either the door jamb for my resistance band, or I use the side support post of my treadmill. So you grab onto each handle and hold your arms straight out to the side, elbows bent at 90 degrees. You want your palms facing forward. And you want to stand maybe with a slightly staggered stance, but far enough forward that there's some tension in the band. So this is the starting position. You want to have some tension in the band. And then you want to slowly press the handles forward, straighten your arms until your hands meet in front of your body. Then, slowly on the negative portion of the rep, bend your elbows and bring the handles back toward your chest to return to the starting position. And you don't want to let the band spring back too quickly, so you want to keep a slow, constant tension on that, and that's one rep. So that's an example of the banded chest press. The second item for chest is good old-fashioned push-up. There's a lot of different variations of the push-up. You can do the regular push-up. You could do push-ups with your feet elevated, so up on a chair, on a couch, so your body's angled down, puts a little more tension on your upper chest. You can do also a chair push-up where it's the opposite. Your feet are on the ground and you're leaning up at an angle where you place your hands like on the arms of the chair and do push-ups that way. And then you can also, to almost any of these, you can add a band to the banded push-up movement. So this is basically you put a band behind your back, so it's kind of across your shoulder, so the band is pressing down, making the push-up more difficult. And you just hold the end of the bands in your hands, and its band goes across your back, and you just do regular push-ups, but it just adds a little extra resistance to the push-up movement. Third exercise is a crossover with a band. This really works the inner chest. This is variations. You can use different height variations of the band on the anchor point. So again, I use the support of the treadmill, and I have it probably a little above my waist. So when I'm doing the crossover, I'm pulling my arm across my chest to get that contraction in the inner chest. I really do feel it. The fourth exercise for chest you can do is a band lateral raise. This is where you stand on the band, you grip about shoulder width apart and raise your arms to about chest level, squeezing and contracting as your arms get to around shoulder height. You should feel the tension in your chest. You'll feel a little bit in your shoulders as well, but it's another good exercise you can do at home for your chest. Next up is shoulders, and the first exercise you can do for shoulders is the banded arm raise. So this is where you can stand on a looped band, grip both hands around shoulder width, and raise your arms, keeping your elbows straight, but you want to raise your arms so your hands are around 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., just kind of like the steering wheel of your car. And you'll definitely feel the tension on your shoulders from those arm raises. It'll hit both your side delt, a little bit of your front delt. Second exercise for shoulder is the banded shoulder press. This is where you stand on a looped band, you grip both hands at shoulder width, and you bring your hands to your shoulders and begin pressing straight overhead, just like you would a shoulder press, but you're just using the resistance of the band. Third exercise for shoulder is the banded upright row. Very similar. You stand on with both feet on a resistance band about hip width, shoulder width apart. Hold one end at each hand, arms in front of your body, palms facing you. And depending on the band you're using, you may need to cross over in front of your body to add a little bit more slack. But with your back straight, you want to engage your core and slowly lift your hands up to shoulder height. Your elbows should extend out to your side. You can squeeze your shoulder blades at the top and do an iso hold if you want to increase the difficulty a little bit for a couple of seconds, and then slowly lower your hands back to the starting position. So that's 1 rep for a banded upright row. Fourth exercise, banded side lat raises. So this is where you want to anchor, or you can stand on a band, and you want to have your feet positioned over the center, shoulder width apart, grip each. If you have a handle, or you can just grab the end of a band, with your arms down at your side, palms facing in toward your thigh. And then you want to bend your elbows a little bit and raise your arms straight out to the sides to shoulder level. You will definitely feel the side delt engaging. And then you slowly lower it back down. That's 1 rep. So that's the banded side lat raise. 2 more quick ones on shoulders. The next is the banded front raise. So this really, to hit the front of your shoulders, you want to stand on the middle of the band with your feet about shoulder width apart again, and grip either the handle or just the edge of the unlooped band at your side with your palm again facing in toward your thigh. And without really locking your elbows, you want to bring your right arm straight out in front of you to shoulder height. And then obviously once you do 10, 15, 20 reps with that arm, you switch over to the left arm and do the same thing, 10 to 20 banded front raises. And the 6th and final shoulder movement you can do is a banded rear delt fly. So this is where you sit really on the edge of a chair or bench, positioning your feet over the middle of the band, and you cross the band at your knees, grabbing the handles with your palms facing each other, and you just bend forward at the waist, keeping your back straight, and raise your arms straight out to your side. So just again, you're pulling it straight as a rear delt exercise. So you raise your arms straight out to your sides until the band reaches about shoulder level. And you'll definitely feel the tension in your rear delts. Lower your arm slowly back to the starting position. Again, you can do iso holds at the top if you want to make it a little bit more advanced of a workout. So those are the 6 shoulder exercises that you can do. On to triceps. I'm going to cover 4 different exercises you can do for triceps. The first is a diamond push-up. This is where instead of having your hands out at your shoulder width on a push-up, you just move them in toward the center of your chest, kind of forming a diamond with your index fingers and your thumbs, and use that where you're putting a lot of the tension of the push-up on the exterior portion of the tricep. That's one thing you can do. The second movement is a banded tricep kickback or banded tricep extension. This is where you want to anchor the band to a pole or wrap the band around a pole. And you want to bend over at the waist, again, facing the pole. So you're several feet back from the pole, facing the pole, but you bend over at the waist to where your upper arm is still parallel with your back. So your elbows bent at 90 degrees, and you just extend your arm straight out behind you, just like a tricep kickback, except you've got the band providing the tension. So do that for, again, you can do 10, 15, 20 reps. Switch sides, do the other arm, 10, 15, 20 reps, whatever you feel comfortable with. And that is the banded tricep kickback. A third exercise for triceps is you can do a tricep push down by just looping either a looped band or an open band over the top of a door and just push down with both arms, doing a tricep push down. Again, the band's just providing the resistance. You can do both arms together on this exercise. A fourth exercise you can do for triceps is just a chair dip. So off the end of either a chair or a couch, you want to put your hands on the edge and just raise and lower your upper body as you're with your feet straight out in front of you on the floor, and just like doing a little dip, except you're using the chair or the edge of a couch. So those are 4 different movements you can do with triceps. For biceps, most of them involve some sort of curling motion, so there's a couple different variations you can do. You can do standing bicep curls, where you stand on a resistance band, hold the other end with the same side hand, pull your hand up towards your shoulder, like in this case, use the right shoulder against the right hand against the resistance of the band. Your upper arm should stay stationary as you pull the band, keeping your elbow underneath your shoulder and close to your body. Release and return to the starting position. Do 10 to 20 repetitions on one side, then switch to the other side. You can do variations. You can also anchor a band to Again, what I use is the support of the treadmill. I kneel down and do bicep curls where my arm is extended straight out toward the support anchor point. And then I curl in, bringing my palm toward the side of my head. And I usually try and do an iso hold as I flex at the peak contraction point of the movement. And then again, back to the starting position, 10 to 20 reps each arm. So again, a couple different variants of bicep movements. Next up is back. And the first exercise you could do for back is what's called a wall lat pull down. So again, requires a resistance band, but you want to stand with your back against the wall and place the resistance band, a looped resistance band, around either your thumbs or your wrists, and stretch your arms straight up over your head. So again, your back's against the wall, arms are up straight over the head, and you've got the band around your wrists. And now you want to pull your arms down and your elbows to the side, bent at about a 90-degree angle while stretching the band and bringing your shoulder blades together, and then return to the starting position. So it's kind of a lat pull down that stretches the upper back. Second exercise, a banded bent over row. So here you want to stand with both feet on a resistance band, about hip width apart again. Hold one end in each hand by your sides, palm facing toward your thighs, toward each other. Bend your knees slightly, and you want to hinge forward a little bit at the hips, but your back is flat, your arms are straight, your hands are still under your shoulders, and you want to bend your elbows to pull the band toward your chest, keeping your elbows, again, in close to the body, and then slowly straighten your arms and lower your hands back to the starting position. That's 1 rep. So you can do, again, recommend 10 to 20 reps, banded bent over rows. Third exercise for back, a resistance band lat pull down. So here you want to loop a resistance band over a sturdy anchor somewhere above you. It could be a door frame, it could be a beam or a pull-up bar if you've got that. You can stand with one foot about a little bit in front of the other as your stance is a little bit staggered, and you want to make sure you have some tension in the band for the starting position. So you don't want to just be moving air. You want to actually go against some resistance. So grab onto one end of the band with each hand, extend your arms toward the ceiling at a slight diagonal. Your torso should be upright, leaning forward maybe just a little bit. Core is tight, back is flat, chest is lifted. You pull your hands down and out to shoulder height. And then you want to, again, ideally do an iso hold for 2 to 5, 7, 10 seconds, squeezing your back and shoulder blades tight, and then extend your arms back out to the starting position. That's, again, 1 rep of a resistance band lat pull down. 2 other back exercises you can do. One is a banded deadlift. So here you want to stand with your feet shoulder width apart, wrap a resistance band around your feet, grab the top of the resistance band with both hands and stand up straight. So you want to hinge, the movement is at your hips and lower down with a slight bend in your knees until your hands go just past your knees. Slowly return to the starting position. So you want to go just like you're doing a deadlift, but you're standing on the band, holding on to the top portion of the band and standing up for 1 rep. One other back exercise you can do is a single arm banded row. This is where you basically just sit up straight. You have your legs extended, feet flexed. You wrap a resistance band around 1 foot. Again, you can also use an anchor point. I use the anchor support of my treadmill, but you can also just wrap one band around your left foot and hold the other with your left hand, keeping everything, legs, torso stable. You want to pull the band backward until your hand reaches the left side of your body. Return to the starting position. That's 1 rep. So again, 10 to 20 reps left side. Switch over, wrap the band around your right foot. 10 to 20 reps on the right side. And that's 5 or so back exercises that you can do. And now let's move on to cardio. So cardio is essential for good health. It gets your heart rate up. It makes your blood pump a little faster. This delivers more oxygen throughout the body, which keeps your heart and lungs healthy. And again, remember, cardio workouts are important to improve that lung capacity, prevent the risk of coronary artery disease, help curb diabetes, lots of good benefits. So here are some of the good cardio exercises that you can do very easily at home And remember that regular cardio exercises can also help you lose weight, get better sleep, and reduce your risk for chronic disease. So the first thing on the list of cardio is walking. Everybody can do that. Ideally, you want to walk at a brisk pace. Whether you take your dog for a walk or just get out and walk, run, maybe you do some light jogging, run for a minute, walk for 3 minutes. It's an easy way to get out of the house, get into some fresh air while getting some cardio in. So walking, top of the list. The second cardio exercise is jumping rope. Now it sounds simple, but 10 minutes of jumping rope with high intensity can be considered equivalent to running an 8-minute mile and can burn almost 1,300 calories an hour. So first of all, how do you do it? Well, you stand straight, you keep your spine, head erect, upper body, straight line. Hold the rope with your hands behind your body. Make sure that they're at least 1 foot away from your body so that you reduce the chances of tripping. So you swing the rope forward and hop over it, allowing the rope to move behind your body. And you want to jump on your toes. Allow your wrists and hands to move along with the handle. So you're really moving the rope with your wrists. And ideally, you can start with, a set of 30 reps to begin with. And if you trip or get stuck, just keep going and count to 30 reps. So if you get 8 reps and you mess up, then the next rep is 9 and just get to 30. And remember that jumping rope is, while it looks simple, it is kind of high impact and requires practice. It looks easy, but it can definitely kick your ass. And there are a lot of complex variations with this too. You can jump on 1 foot, you can alternate feet, you can crossing the feet, you can double turning the rope, you can cross your hands, you can watch a Rocky movie if you want to see all of the different tricks that boxers do with jumping rope. A third exercise for cardio is just the simple jumping jack. Classic move, works your entire body, increases the heart rate. You basically just stand with your legs together and your arms at your side. You bend your knees slightly and you jump and spread your legs wider. Then shoulder width, lifting your arms overhead and jump back to the center and repeat. So simple jumping jacks. Another thing that you can do is what are called toe taps. And it's an easy, low impact exercise that can be done just on a curb or on the bottom step of a staircase. So you basically just stand in front of the curb or the bottom step of a staircase, rest 1 foot on top, toes facing down, and then quickly switch legs with the other foot on top. So you continue alternating feet. So right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, all tapping the toe on the step and then bringing it back down. So as you get used to the movement, you can move left or right while doing toe taps for a little bit more advanced movement. Another exercise you can do for cardio are burpees. Burpees are really excellent cardio exercises that involve the entire body. So to do a burpee, you want to start keeping your feet together, assume kind of a squat position, place your arms on the ground in front of your feet, keep your feet together, and get ready to jump back so that you can land in a push-up position. Bend your forearms and perform a single push-up in that position, then jump back to the previous position and bring your feet underneath your body. And then you leap into the air, land smoothly, bend your legs, repeat the step for as long as you can. You can do 2 sets of 20 reps as a beginner, and you can ultimately, move your way up the rep range for best results. This one works the entire body, kicks your ass. And remember, you can always superset a lot of these exercises. You can jump rope for 50 reps and then do 10 burpees and then do 20 toe taps. You can cycle these, arrange them in a lot of varieties. Another exercise you can do is just jogging in place. It sounds kind of boring. Obviously, it's very easy to do. If you can't get out and about on a run, you could jog in place. This way, you just want to stand straight with your feet shoulder width, lift your knees as high as possible as you jog in place in one spot, and try and jog continuously for at least a minute or so. So again, there's a number of other cardio movements you can do. You can mix and match a lot of these different movements. You can superset them, giant set them. There's a lot of different things you can do, but this should give you a bit of a variety to at least get started. As always, while you're exercising, have a bottle of water or some branched chain aminos or essential amino acids mixed in with water. Don't assume you'll pour yourself a glass just because you're at home and the fridge is 25 feet away. Have a bottle of water with ice cubes already prepared with you right next to you where you're exercising, whether that's in that dedicated space out in your backyard, or if you go out for a run or walk, make sure you stay hydrated. It's essential to working out. It replaces all the moisture you lose in perspiration, helps maintain your energy, and you can also just use it as a break in between sets. Get a little bit of water, a little bit of hydration. Keep going. So in summary, that concludes the first part of this mini-series. We covered each of the major upper body parts and multiple exercises you can try at various degrees of difficulty, various different configurations, arrangements, giant sets, supersets, and we talked about the various forms of cardio to help elevate your heart rate and keep the blood flowing. So in next week's episode, part 2, we'll cover legs and abs. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon. With that, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen to The Fitterist Show. You can follow us on Instagram at FitteristMindBody and on Twitter at FitteristMind. If you enjoyed this episode, please send it to a friend or subscribe to make sure you don't miss any future episodes of The Fitterist Show. My name is Christopher Allen, and make it a magical day.